G'day, mate, and how the bloody hell are ya? Welcome to In the Back of My Head podcast, episode 62. It's a creative journal where I talk about, creativity, whatever the hell's in the back of my head. And if you get something out of it, bloody brilliant. It's a place to try and get some thoughts that have been rattling around into words. It's easier to make sense of them if I do that. Let's get into it then. I don't know if it started with COVID. I suppose I always had a fascination with the morbid, which would include such topics as a plague. But certainly within the last couple of years, the theme of plague, the theme of a plague, the theme of a pandemic has fascinated me. I suppose because it really is maybe one of the most terrifying experiences for a community to go through, because you can't see it. You can only see the ramifications of it. There's no enemy to fight. There's no... I mean, looking at when COVID was happening, like, obviously you were looking for enemies, or rather, people were looking for someone to blame. Where did it come from? How's it being handled? Because you can't fight the thing itself. I mean, you can fight the thing itself, but you can't rationalize it in your brain as a human being, because you can't see it. It's this invisible force. And I've spoken about a game that I came across post-pandemic that deals with the concept of a plague, with the themes of a plague. And it's so much more than just dealing with the plague. There's a lot of supernatural elements to it. There's a lot of mythological elements to it. It's about dealing with one's own psyche, about dealing with the depravity that one can stoop to, given the right circumstances. And I've spoken about it before on this podcast, and it is Pathologic 2. And Pathologic 2 has come to mean a lot more to me than just one of my favorite video games. It is my favorite video game, hands down. But it is also now, given a little bit more time. How long ago did I play it? Might have been almost a year now. Maybe a little bit less. After sitting with it for a while, watching many videos about it, breakdowns, lore videos, going through the concepts, try to pick it apart. It has certainly become my favorite video game of all time, and it has also, I think, become my favorite piece of media of all time. And I speak about the depravity that you can stoop to while playing that game, because that's the only game. So many video games push you to commit acts that in real life you would not. You kill people in video games. You kill fake digital people in video games. But it becomes so nonchalant, it's just part of the thing that you do. It's just another task. You could be mining an asteroid for minerals to build a ship, or you could be killing people, and they can't hold the same weight. Pathologic pushes you to actually try and understand how you would get to that place when you are starving, when you are trying to save a town. In the game, you're trying to save a town, and resources are becoming more and more scarce, and gets to the point when you got to do something, or you lose the game. And I tried my goddamn darndest throughout the game to avoid conflict, mainly because it's very dangerous in the game. You are not a fighter, you're a doctor. But it gets to the point where it's like, well, there's no other option. I have to rob people, and in the process of robbing people, situations arise where you are forced to defend yourself, and someone's going down. It was a weird experience, and it was a great experience. Nothing has demonstrated to me more the power of art in general than Pathologic 2. I've walked away from many films, a changed person. A number of books, though fewer, trying to get more into reading again. But nothing has, changed me as a person like Pathologic. Especially when I was in the throes of it, especially when I was playing that game, I was so distant to other people. Not in a way of like, you might encounter someone who plays a lot of a competitive game, something like Dota, something like, what's the other one? League of Legends. And people are obsessed, people are consumed by the competitive and the gambling nature of those kind of games, I think. Pathologic, I was just picturing the streets that I was walking. And I have pictures of the streets as my wallpaper on my desktop that pops up occasionally. And I still get these kind of chills when I'm watching it, when they pop up. I want to return to those streets so goddamn badly, even though they were a terrible place to exist in, but because they were so visceral, it feels like I left the world behind. Few pieces of art have changed me like that game did, and have shown me the true power of art. I like that concept a lot of spending time in a world that is so viscerally real that when it's over, when you have to leave it, it is painful. Even if it was a painful experience being in it, you feel like you've left something behind. Maybe you have left part of yourself behind in that world. I've not experienced this as much with books, but I certainly, when I was discussing this concept with a mate of mine, my partner, God bless, that is quite a common experience for people who read extensively. And it reminded me of that episode of Rick and Morty where they go to an alien arcade, and Morty puts on a headset that is a VR headset and transports him into a world where he is playing, I can't remember what the name is, he's playing a character called like Ted or something like that, and you just live out the life of this dude. But the way that time works in the game, you think that you have lived a life. And haven't we all had that thought? Haven't we all had that thought of, haven't you been lying in bed before and you look to the ceiling and you think, this is real, right? This is real. I pinch myself. This is real. I'm not gonna wake up from this and realize it was all a dream. It'd be a weird dream. But then maybe dreams in this life are just dreams within dreams, and so that's why they're so hazy and foggy. It's like you've only got so much CPU, you've only got so much GPU, you've only got so much processing power, and so the dreams within dreams are a little foggy. Maybe real dreams, the dream that you're in now, this is how vivid dreams actually are. I guess you don't know that you're dreaming when you're dreaming. And good art feels like that. Good art makes you want to pinch yourself and go, wait, no, this isn't real. This isn't real. This is a dream. This is a dream. But much like a good dream, or even a bad dream that is vivid enough, part of you is left in that dream, and you want to go back to it. I spoke maybe a few podcast episodes ago on Alan Moore, the creator of Watchmen and various other comic books, and much more writing than that. But he speaks very highly of the power of writing, that it changes your perception of the world, especially for those of us who have a strong internal dialogue or monologue. Then we consume the world, we experience the world through words, for the most part. There are moments you might sit quietly and just experience life in just a purely physical sensation. Maybe. The feeling of the air in your skin, the sound of birds, the feeling of the breath entering your lungs, sure. But for the most part, going through life, I experience the world through words, through the way that I talk about things that I'm seeing. Even just watching something on YouTube, I'm like, this is a good video. I think that. Bad example. Walking down the street, and you'll see someone and you'll think to yourself, oh, that's a funny looking person. What a character. I enjoy that character. Oh, I wonder what their life is like. I wonder what they do. Do they have a dog that looks like them? I love when people have dogs that look like them, when people match. That's a fun time. You say these words to yourself. And when words are planted in your brain, via a book, via a video game, via a movie, that reframe the way that you see the world, then life has changed. Reality has changed. Reality is experienced through the brain, through the mind. I've got some very dark, ominous music playing in the background. I think that's making me particularly dramatic, or more soft-spoken for this podcast. But I'm talking about the power of writing and the power of art, so it seems only fitting. Now, the issue that I've run into that got me thinking about all this is actually not the power of art that I'm excited about. Well, it is in a sense. It didn't come from me playing a great video game and going, oh, I'm going to talk about it on the podcast. It actually came from, oh, fuck. What do I play next? Which is a peculiar anxiety to have, and a very silly one. I read a great book recently called House of Leaves. You may have heard of it. I'm sure that you have. I might have spoken about it on this podcast. And when I finished it, I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole. Like, what should I read next? I want some grim dark kind of books. I want some stuff that's gonna change my life. That's the thing. I'm going out there, I'm on the hunt for the next thing that's gonna change my life. And I saw a stat somewhere that 1 million books come out every year. Now, I don't know if that's true. It sounds kind of realistic though, really. That sounds kind of realistic though. I mean, of all the countries, all the people around the world, and in 1 million books, how many of those are cookbooks? Are we talking about novels? Are we talking about short stories? Who's to say? 1 million books come out. If that's the case, even if you say 100,000 books, let's really drop those numbers down. Say 100,000 books come out. Well, yeah, what if 100,000 books come out every year that would change your life? Or 1,000 books. Let's say even 100 books. Some people might be able to read 100 books. That's a lot. That's a lot of books. That's a lot of books. Let's say 1,000 books come out a year that are going to change your life. Or 1,000 films, 1,000 TV shows, 1,000 movies, did I say films? 1,000 games. 1,000 bits of media that are going to change your life come out every single year. And you are going to be able to consume not only 0.1% of the good stuff, but you run the risk of consuming vast quantities of the bad stuff. Which is the point of reviews. That's a funny job, isn't it, actually? That's an interesting one. Assuming you get into things like reviewing, because a review is a guide. You want to guide people through the world of available art and content. And so And you love it. I assume that you love it. I assume that you would get into such a job because you're like, oh man, I truly adore music. I want to find the next album that's going to change my life. So I'm going to become a reviewer. Alright, cool. And then, funnily enough, you would probably end up consuming way more bad music than you ever would have just as a pure enjoyer of music. Which is not a bad thing. Consuming bad content, consuming bad art is extremely valuable. Especially as a creative, I think. Especially as a creative, because you then also, more importantly, kind of like, last episode was about learning what you don't want to do as a job, as a creative. Learn what you don't want to do. Someone commented on a clip from that. A DJ mate of mine commented, I love music, and I don't want to be a professional DJ. And that really rung true for me, because I had looked at the skill set needed to be a successful DJ, and the DJing part is a small part. It's actually the marketing and the networking. It's really the bloody networking and the late nights and the things you gotta do to stay up for fucking until 5 in the morning, you know? Now, that's not what I'm talking about when I say learn what you don't want to do as a creative when watching bad art, enjoying bad art. More learning the pitfalls that they make. Music might be an easy example of, you hear a chorus that just goes on way too bloody long, and you're like, alright, now I know how long a chorus should go. I know the feeling of when a chorus is really going on too long. I know there's value in reading terrible books, playing terrible video games, watching terrible films. But I guess, yeah, after playing Pathologic, it's been sitting in my head now of, bloody hell, that's what it can be? I want to find the next thing that's that. I want to find the next thing that's going to change my life. And I was trying to figure out that feeling. It's not the same as sunk cost fallacy, but it's sort of similar in you're scared of investing into a thing that turns out to be not that great. You're scared of wasting your time. It was a different experience as a child, but I think the games that I played as a child would change my life in a different way. Set my path on what themes I enjoyed. I don't think that in terms of like they were written as brilliantly as something like Pathologic. And that's the thing for me, is that maybe if I did mention before, it's the writing of Pathologic. It's the actual written material. The way the characters speak, the story, the arcs, the way that then those experiences tie into the gameplay is incredibly powerful, but at the core, it's the writing is what stuck with me and changed me. I don't think I experienced that in the same way as a kid, but I certainly experienced no fear of what to play next, due to a limited supply. So if I was to sit down and play something, then I probably had 2 options. And I probably played one of those options to death already. So I would play one game for maybe years on end. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. And now, I struggle to even make a choice. I'll sit in front of a game library like Steam, scrolling endlessly. Which is the one that's gonna fucking do it? Which is the one that's gonna do it? There's something to be said simply of the amount of time you have as a kid versus the amount of time you have as an adult. It's really a path that I'm trying to go down now, is for someone who spends so much time making stuff and talking about making stuff, making podcasts about talking about making stuff. I don't spend nearly as much time consuming the art that actually changes my reality. It actually pushes me to grow as a human being. And I want to do a lot more of that. I'm trying to do a lot more of that. And I think a big part of that is not trying to be in a different mindset of like, I'm just going to be all about the art right now. I'm really going to be centered. I'm really going to center myself and really dive into this piece. It's actually just time. It's actually just trying to give myself more time. It's a big part of taking a break from Vibe Union was I want more time I want to read, man. I want to read books. I want to play games, listen to music. And I'm fucking privileged that I get to make that time for myself, no doubt. I really got to get a bloody job. God, if I can find a job where I get to listen to stuff while doing the thing, if I can find a job where I get to enjoy some art while I'm doing it, that'd be the bloody dream. So two solutions that I've arrived at is time. Making a lot more time to find the thing. To just experience a lot more art. And the other thing is scarcity. Forced scarcity. I think that's a I don't know if I think that is a particular modern issue that we are experiencing now, is because I believe it's a pretty standard comment and view to have at the moment that we live in a golden age of TV, a golden age of, I would say we live in a golden age of cinema. I would say we live in a golden age of art in general. There's a lot of people out there who will say, but back in the day we had insert amazing band or insert amazing director here. And sure, there is a lot of corporate crap in this day and age. I would say there always has been. There might be more, but I actually think that's just because there is more, full stop. There is more stuff than ever before. And the video game space is an interesting one of video games cost a lot to make, but much like any other industry, the tools to make them have become more and more accessible. And so now there is just, oh man, talking about 1 million books coming out every goddamn year. I don't know how many games are coming out every goddamn day. Everyone's making games, and only some of them are worth playing. But there is a way more good ones than I'm ever gonna play. There's a lot more accessible ones in terms of price. A lot of great games. One of my favorite games of all time, in my top 3 favorite games of all time, is a free Doom 2 mod. Wild. I'm gonna give some recommendations at the end of this episode of some material that has changed me recently. But when you have something like the Steam library or Game Storefront, then yeah, you scroll endlessly and there is endless, amazing material. How do you choose? And same with TV. Going on Netflix, Disney Plus, yada yada. Just every single week a new thing comes out that is the best show ever. And the next week, the next best show ever has come out. And you're like, oh, I haven't finished this one yet, Jesus. Everyone can make movies, everyone can make music. That's been a big part of what I've been experiencing lately, why I'm kind of trying to step back a little bit, is because everyone makes music, and it's literally my favorite thing. They're so accessible. But then there's the ocean of content that you're now part of, which is a weird thing to be a drop in an ocean. But as a consumer, we're talking about being a consumer today. The endless ocean of content is terrifying in terms of actually trying to make a decision. You're terrified of wasting your goddamn time. And so I'm enjoying scarcity a little bit, trying to find, at the moment I'm broke. I have no job, I need a job. At the moment I have no money. And that's actually kind of limiting, and that's kind of fun in its limitation of that I have to look for things. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch free movies or pirate, but you know, I gotta find free games. That's kind of been the main thing. There's some books on my list that I want to read, but I can't buy them, and so I've turned to my partner's collection of books, and I'm being shown incredible books through that I might not have read otherwise, because I would have gotten excited by, but I found this book online that I really want to read. I'm going to buy that. Well, I can't. Got no fucking money. I'll read this book that we've already got in the house instead. Oh, it's really brilliant. It's changed my life. And the other thing, this is not an ad, obviously. It's a stupid thing to even say. But I got back onto Xbox Game Pass, and I find that actually, not only is that a great deal in terms of how much money you pay for how many video games you get access to, but also it's only so many games. It's still like 496 or something like that. It's still a shitload of fucking games, but it's a lot. 496 games is a lot less games than infinite games. And so I can look at that and go, that one, those ones look like the ones that are going to fucking really hit me. So I'm going to play those ones. Done. Within seconds of subscribing, I was downloading the game that I wanted to play. And fuck Microsoft. You know, giant corporation can go fuck themselves. But in terms of limiting your available pool of things that you could possibly enjoy is a damn good way of getting around this feeling. How many of us have sat down and go, I'm gonna watch something, I'm gonna watch a movie tonight, and then scroll. Oh fucking hell, where'd the night go? I've got no time for a movie anymore. Perhaps then you need to find a curator who creates lists. You need to find... What me and my partner did was, we haven't really followed this in a long time, but during the pandemic we made a list of like 40 movies. These are the movies that we need to watch. We'll roll a dice. We're gonna watch a movie. You roll, or you do a random number generator. Okay, we're gonna watch that tonight. Sometimes it didn't work out, sometimes it did. It was bloody brilliant though. It certainly got over that issue of the endless ocean of content of trying to find the next thing that's going to change your life. So I've rambled on, danced around this subject a little bit. I'm not really sure. There's some things that I'm trying to do to try and get over this stupid anxiety of trying to find the next thing. And I'd love it if you have two things. If you have recommendations for games, movies, books that have changed your life, drop them in a comment. And 2, if you have methods for finding those next things that are going to resonate with you, drop those in a comment. I wanted to wrap this up with this is a silly anxiety to have. It's a silly problem to have. But on the flip side, I am very excited that I am someone who feels so changed by art, and I want to cultivate that as much as possible. And I feel like I have become numb to experiences like that at various points in my life, and I want to continue down that path of trying to cultivate that within myself. One with time, and one with surrounding myself with people who also are so passionate and sensitive and artistic and open. And then try and breathe, try to take my time with it. I'll drop you a few recommendations to wrap things up. If you're not much of a gamer, then fucking peace out, mate. Don't worry about it. Obviously, Pathologic 2. If you haven't played Pathologic 2, it's a fucking slog. It's a real bitch of a game. If you go in blind, better. I've already probably given away too much. If you like hard games, and not in like a Dark Souls kind of way, but rather just like a resource management kind of way, but in a way that it really ties well with the thematics of the story, so it's fucking amazing. Go play that. If you like good writing, especially if you like really dark Russian shit, then that's your jam. The other one, let's just do two, because this one, another plague-themed game, in a sense, it comes on later in the game. There's a little bit of a spoiler, but is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I just played that recently. That's from 2017. Both of those games actually, I think, are from 2017. But so they're a bit older, but they're not super fucking popular, so you might not have played them. Senua's Sacrifice was one I just finished, and that is a game that, again, reminded me of the power of art and the power of video games as a medium. Because you play as a character with psychosis. Best to play with headphones because you have voices in your head through the whole game. You have weird visual artifacts and illusions, hallucinations throughout the game. It's all tied in thematically to the game. It's also based on Nordic mythology. It's fucking incredible. Great acting from the main character. Great writing, great atmosphere. The main thing is experiencing even the tiniest little hint of what it might be like to live with psychosis in a way that maybe no other art form could possibly portray. They actually consulted with people who had psychosis and people who studied and who were doctors in that field to make that game, to really try and make sure that they got it right. I respect the hell out of that. If you've not played either of those games, I highly recommend that you do. And if you're not much of a gamer, and you don't understand the power of the medium, perhaps those two little explanations will kind of help you understand that. Alright, that's the podcast. Let art change your life. I love you very much. Leave a comment. Leave a like, all that kind of shit. Someone commented on a reel that I posted the other day, L fake podcast. And I didn't get a response to that. I said, what? I really like someone commented, your podcast is a fake podcast. It's not a real podcast. Comment below if you think this is a real podcast or if you think it's a fake podcast. Be well. I'll see you next week. No, I won't. I'm taking a week off. I'm going away for the weekend. Going away for the week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.